She started it along with, they got all right. So welcome into this is our second virtually connected meeting. I think that they're going really well, and I think that we can really bring a lot of value to the CAI community with the topics that we're picking. We think pretty long and hard about the topics. They're not willy-nilly, and we thought that one of the biggest things that we could talk about right now is the situation that we're in, and that's marketing in this tumultuous environment. How do we get our value out there to our clients, to each other? How do we stay connected? All those things. So let's talk about that in just a second. First things first, little housekeeping items, just to go through how this Zoom meeting works the best. You guys are all muted. You'll continue to be muted until you guys have a question that we want to address. In order to get your question addressed, there's two ways to do it. You can throw it in the chat, which happens on the side. If you don't know, if the chat's not there already, just bring your mouse to the bottom of the screen. A little menu bar will come up. You click on that chat icon, and then you can select who you want to chat with or everyone. Make sure you're careful with that selection. That chat will then show up on the side. We'll try to get to your question as quickly as possible. Also, if you click on the participants button, again, down at the bottom, you'll have an ability to, again, now it'll show up on the right-hand side, to raise your hand digitally. If you raise your hand digitally, that little hand stays by your name. We know that you're looking to ask a question on the topic we're proposing right now. And we will call on you and get you an opportunity to ask that question. Everybody with us so far? Okay, good. Last thing is Deb Rizzi. She is going to be the one conducting the session today. I'll let her introduce herself and what she does, but she did say right out of the gates, everybody better have a pen and paper or some way to take notes. So go ahead and try to make that happen if you can. In the interim, we've got 5 different topics that we're going to discuss. Sales, redefining the ideal consumer and retooling your message. It's a huge one because your message has to be quick and different than it was. 2, value proposition. What are you bringing to everybody? Personalizing, humanizing the customer experience. The third topic is technology, leveraging virtual engagement through technology. We all need to know that very, very well. 4, digital marketing, web, texting, pay-per-click, email, and social. And 5, CAI community, maximizing your investment, collaboration, cross-promotion, etc. So we're going to try to get through them pretty quick, but we're going to keep it down to an hour if we can. So with that being said, Deb, I'm going to turn it over to you. Go ahead.
Thanks, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday. I know a lot of us are trying to figure out what day it is, and for us at Frisco, it's the end of week 5 of working from home virtually. So I hope you're all doing well with that transition. First of all, I'm Debra Rizzi. I'm the president of Frisco. We're a brand-led marketing agency based out of Spring Lake, and specialization in branding, web development, digital strategies, 360-degree marketing. Where we differentiate is really digging in, and we're a research-based firm, so there's nothing cookie cutter about how we approach marketing on behalf of our clients. You always have your tactics that you know are out there that you can, that you know that you need to develop. But in our situation, the way that we approach your business is asking you those questions. What are you trying to achieve? Who are your key competitors? And what kind of message, or what should those tools be to deliver a message that'll create a return on investment? So today, the goal is to go through these 5 topics, give you a little bit of information on what we're seeing, what we've learned. And it's not just from our point of view, it's from our clients and from other people that we've collaborated with, even through CAI, and giving you some of those top tips so that you can move it forward and apply it to your own businesses. And if you can walk away with one thing today, then we've done our job well. A few house rules. We're going to try to do 10 minutes per topic. There are no bad questions. As far as the format is concerned, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview, give you a few tips, and then we'll open up for questions and collaboration. And then afterwards, if you have any specific questions that you don't want to ask here, please feel free to use me as a resource. My email address is debra@rizco.com. So that's DEBRA at Rizco, RIZCO.com. Ryan put through he talked about the 5 topics that we're going to talk about, but, you know, let's just start to kick this off with, you know, with social distancing and remote working environments, you know, what does this mean for marketing and for business development in the future? And the truth is that we really don't know. You're going to follow trends and follow the news. And, you know, each week there's another update. You know, yesterday we found out that, you know, our children might go back to school as of the 15th of May. It's probably not going to happen. So, you know, the government is really, they're the ones that are in control, but that doesn't mean that we have to stop and wait for them. It's about re-triggering and retooling and seeing where those opportunities are. The businesses that are going to survive are taking the time to plan and explore those opportunities in their industries. And this just goes for all of us as leaders. Being positive and transparent with your staff and making sure that you're taking care of yourself. I'm hearing this a lot. And, you know, as we want to move our businesses forward, we have to be the best version of ourselves. So that's where I say and want to offer making sure that the self-care is part of your overall plan and daily plan. You know, take a walk, meditate, raise your hand when you need help. Rely on the people that are within this, you know, immediate chat group that you can rely on. Take a shower. Making sure that you're showering daily is an important thing that we need to be doing. But what has changed the most? First of all, it's digital experiences. It's replacing our in-person experiences. Secondly, our efficiencies. You know, we're not traveling, we're not meeting in person, so we should be more efficient. Maybe we're not, but you know, we're starving for human connection. So looking at how are you spending your time, where are you going to put your resources, and then using technology to its best to connect like we are today. Marketing's not dead. It just has shifted, and we'll talk about that more. There's a reality too, though, that some of our competitors will not survive, and we might individually, we might not survive. So some of the things that I would like to bring to light is there's less competition right now. So you want to look at your competition, you want to talk to them, you want to follow them, you want to be in connection with them. But also too, there is an opportunity, and this is probably the only time you'll see me be super aggressive, in the sense that it's your opportunity to strike. You can gain market share right now, because as other people are pulling back, it's your opportunity to jump in and market even more so, to come out on the back end with some extra market share. In that sense, look at your competitors. So the ones that might not make it, you can align yourself with them. Or if you're that person who might not make it, why shouldn't you continue to profit off of that? If a competitor is going to go down, align yourself with them, take over their customer base, but offer them to be on an extended commission structure for the next year. So at least the hard work that they've done to build their business, number one, you know that you're going to have that quality of care or serviceability to them, but also give them an opportunity to continue some kind of cash flow after they've closed their business. So that is something to take into consideration. Warren Buffett said, you know, be greedy when other people are fearful. And, you know, that's going back to this, is other people are going to slow down their marketing. So this is your time to double down. So the last thing is we really aren't in control, so let's make the most of it. So my first question in the interactivity of this is, if you have that piece of paper in front of you, I just want to get guideline as far as where are you on your marketing now. If you can grade yourself, give yourself an A, B, or C, make the letter big on that piece of paper and hold it up in your window so that we can get a gauge of where you are in your marketing. And I will start. Everybody gonna hold up their paper so you can give me a guideline? Ryan, where are you? B. We've got B's. You gonna hold up? We've got B's. Okay, that's great. I'll say that I'm a B and share it with you because there's always room for improvement. And with the fluctuation with marketing, it's constantly changing, and we're seeing that we have to ebb and flow. So there's always room for improvement. And now as we delve into each of these topics, I'm hoping that you'll be able to walk away and move yourself up to a B+ or an A- in the upcoming weeks. So let's kick into our first one. It's about sales and, really redefining the ideal customer and retooling your message. The ideal customer right now is someone who's still in business, and that is changing on a day-to-day basis. Especially as of last Friday, construction was still for full force. And I can say that with our agency, the first 2 weeks, it was connecting with our current client base, getting a pulse of where they are, who needed to stop immediately, who was going to increase, and then taking a pulse on industries that still have business. You're looking at food industries, healthcare, who is actually doing work, and then re-triggering and seeing, okay, where is that opportunity where I could shift my offering to maybe be able to gain a little bit more market share. In this case, especially with CAI, a perfect example is that we work with a commercial flooring company, and with shutdowns and security, a lot of their projects became halted or slowed. So we wound up saying, okay, well, where can we shift and maneuver? And so cleaning became the new messaging point. And so within 24 hours, instead of saying, okay, we are, the ultimate installer of commercial flooring, it was, okay, we are here to help you and clean your spaces when they're closed right now, so that your employees can come back to a safe environment. So that's an example of looking at the opportunities of who's in business right now and where can you re-trigger. The second is looking at new biz dev opportunities. What other product or service can you offer, and also look at your territories. I had a friend who's in China right now who's been giving me updates on their marketplace, and he pointed that question out and said, with the United States being shut down and closed, are there other biz dev opportunities for you here? Should you be looking at marketing your services in other foreign countries that are getting back to the norm? And that shifted my mindset as well, is even within the United States, the way that we're operating from the Northeast to other regions of the United States, there's definitely a disconnect. So if you are a regional or national brand, look at where business might be flowing a little bit more fluidly versus where we are in our current state in New Jersey right now. With that comes different messaging and visuals, and there are different competitors. So as you're shifting your opportunities, take a look at who else is in that market space and shift your messaging, feed off of the content that they're putting out there, and making sure that you're not trying to speak the same language when you've now shifted into a different grouping where you might be up against different competitors. The last thing comes with, really reviewing your brand. And with the downtime, it's not only the brand of your organization, but also your personal brand. What are the consistencies? It's logo, it's messaging, it's touch points, but you as a human being selling on behalf of your organization, what do you bring to the table that is different? But making sure that there's consistency in the message of the value proposition that you're giving to a client. So we are seeing that clients are upping their game right now because they have downtime. They're taking a look at all of those touch points that are going in front of a client and making sure that it's as professional as possible and that you're speaking the same language as you're moving through that process. So I welcome you to, it's really time to up your game. And now I'll open that up for any Q&A or open dialogue.
If there's anyone, just unmute yourself. If anyone
or just go ahead and raise your hand virtually, and I'll go ahead and unmute you, and you can ask your question. So just to touch base again on what Deb's asking is, how are you retooling, or do you have any questions about how to retool yourself, rebrand yourself, and move in the direction that might make sense right now? Oh, go ahead, Lauren. I saw that. You'll have to unmute Lauren. There you go.
Yeah.
Hi, good morning. So I have kind of a unique situation. I have kind of the opposite situation. Our company offers cleaning services and maintenance services and carpentry services. That's our business, our core business. And what we're seeing is a lot of new competitors on the market. What you're doing is everyone that can't operate anymore is trying to get into our business right now.
Retooling, yep.
Yes, they are.
Go away, you're in my space.
Yes, exactly. So it's been unique, and I've been challenged with because unfortunately a lot of these new competitors are trying to they're showing off, they're kind of like showing their muscles a little bit and coming up with these new cleaning techniques, and that aren't really a thing or aren't really necessary, and trying to kind of scare clients into thinking that's what they need. People with biohazard suits and crazy equipment, and it's thousands and thousands of dollars. And so our clients are coming to us and saying, well, I guess the cleaning we've been paying you for isn't good enough. And, it's kind of crazy. So I've been challenged with, I've held off so far in terms of a global message to our clients, just to address that, because I don't want to discourage, especially during these crazy times, I don't want to discourage anyone from, if they feel more comfortable paying that kind of money and they feel like that's more clean, okay. But at the same time, I'm inviting competitors into our back door, basically, without doing that. So it's kind of been a case by case. So I guess my question is, what's the professional way to handle discouraging from somebody else's services, I guess, without.
So the recommendation there, and you'll see this in as we go through this conversation further, and it's completely valid, because Brian and I had this discussion last week, is about education. You have been in this space for a long time, and you've invested a lot of time, money, resources, training, and that is a value add to your customer base, is now setting up the pipeline and feeding your learnings and your views out to your customer base. So it's about education and how you want to formalize that. You know your business the best right now, but educational emails, or if you have the capacity to set up an online educational system so that you can drive people back to your website for regular updates. What you want to do is anything that you're putting out there, the model is you want to send them back to your website, because you also want to get that analytic out of how much traffic you're getting and seeing that uptick. So it would be, my recommendation is a combination of making sure that you're emailing your customer base once a month with updates, or it could be bi-monthly, depending upon how aggressive the industry is getting in that area. But feeding some of those tips through your social media, making sure you're driving them back to your website again. And, using your online, you should have an online blog at this point where you can do these updates, and they don't have to be pages of information, just, short paragraphs of updates or things that you're seeing, and feed off of what your competitors are doing. And it could be just a simple Q&A. These are 5 questions that we see are coming up, and this is our professional advice of how you should be treating this. And to your point, people might be willing to spend more money, but this is a time where we need to be guiding our customers on ways to be saving money, because cash flow is so important. So if you're able to validate why they should not go to that level and you can save them thousands of dollars, the value add there, it's invaluable. They're going to come back to you again and again and probably refer you to somebody else, because their network too is having the same conversation. Hey, are you going to be doing this, or this? What's valid? So you become the industry standard and the leader, and the professional voice that people are going to look to.
Yeah. Deb, if I could add something, and Lauren, that was actually a really good question, and it makes me think about politics, because you have 5 candidates, and they don't, on one hand, they don't want to get involved in dirty politics, but at the same time, they need to let the constituents know that they're the best choice.
Mm-hmm.
I think about like, and the candidates, if you know, you've seen this in movies, like if they don't want to get involved in dirty politics and put down the other candidate, they might start to slip behind because the other candidate is actually playing dirty. So if you, for example, if your company is better than these other 10 companies and you know it, but also like how you don't want to get involved in being like, well, that company lies and that company's product isn't actually good, because it's never good to play dirty. But at the same time, how do you not lose your competitive edge? And I want to turn it back to Deb, like, is there anything, if you know your product is better than everyone else, but you also don't want to get involved in dirty slinging back and forth, how do you do that? How do you handle that messaging?
I always find that education it's not naming and pointing fingers, it's bringing the details back up to the top. There was a political educational campaign that we wound up doing here in New Jersey, and you know, it was one of those situations of mudslinging. We just kept on putting out the facts. These are our facts. These are our facts. These are our facts. And you know, if you're able to back up what you're up against, it just winds up being factual information, not opinionated related. And if you don't bring in other people's names, but you just talk about what are the differences, why is the quality better, is this PPE really needed in this situation? It's trying to put just clear facts out there and letting other people raise the question and have the conversation, and then being able to take it offline one-on-one and educate them. That's always the best way of doing it. Put as many facts out there as possible and back it with statistics, and then let them formulate their own decision-making on it.
I have a feeling that this is going to be a running theme for today, and education is going to be the key in all of these sectors. So I think that that's the takeaway for number one. I think the questions are valid, Lauren. That was a perfect question. What happens when we've got a lot of shiny, glittery things out there, and our prospects or our clients are moving towards the shiny, glittery things? Education, I think, is the answer to that one.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too, because and we haven't, that's kind of been our MO from the beginning, is the education and just kind of reminding without, you have to be careful not to come across as judgmental. We've run into, some things with some employees that came across. They were like, oh God, why are you doing that? That's unnecessary. And, people are just so on edge right now that you really got to be careful of the way that you formulate saying something. And then the other part too, that's really coming into play right now, is the CAI part of this, because I'm getting asked to sign off, I'm indemnifying every person on the property that if they get COVID-19, it's not.
That's a whole different,
it's really, really
insurance.
And it's almost like it's scary to even be discouraging them from doing more, because, you're like, well, I don't really think it's necessary, but if you feel more comfortable, and you're comfortable with paying more, then so be it. But it's a lot of new challenges and just a lot of high tension on those kinds of things.
All right, so we have two things that we can absolutely do another virtually connected on. One is an education piece, how to properly educate, and what's your message. The other one is CYA, and I think all of us in the industry are gonna have a situation where we're in a position where we have to cover our ass, but that's not necessarily something that we can technically do. So both of those topics could go on forever. Let's move on to number two. and we'll table those and set another virtually connected up for that.
All right, thanks. So as far as value proposition, we're trying to personalize and humanize the customer experience. We're shifting now. We have to be sensitive that we don't understand where everybody is right now. I can say even just within our own company, we have one employee who is most likely positive, can't work. Another one who has been separated from her husband because he's been exposed to somebody at work. Another one who just lost a family member, not to COVID, but cannot congregate. Funerals aren't happening right now. So even just looking at a small company like ours, we're all experiencing something different through this, and emotions are running high. So one of the first things that as you're approaching your sales and your marketing is, really asking, how are you? Can I help you? Being as human as possible and just being a little bit more nurturing than we might typically be as we're approaching a sales process. The second thing is making sure you're offering something of value. And we touched on this already, education. What kind of educational resources or facts, tips can you supply to your customer base? Is it a one-on-one session? Is it 45 minutes of a video chat of you connecting with a client and just talking through what they're going through? Or if you're in the situation where you can do the work now and offer to the client that they can pay for it later. Even just yesterday, a client of ours was, I'm burning cash and I'm scared, but they're in an industry that is booming right now. So it's shifting the opportunity and the flexibility of let's do the work, let's do it now, and let's imagine where you will be in Q3 and Q4 if we work together on this now and if you have to pay for it later. Currently with Frisco, we're offering a digital audit proposition. So for clients who aren't sure how their social media or their web presence is, we are going in and saying, hey, we'll go in there for free and give us your competitors and we will do that analysis for you. And we've had some clients bite on that. It's not a hard sell at all. It gives them valuable information. It allows them to identify some things that they can work on right now on their own. It's that soft touch of, okay, you're getting a little bit of a taste of what we can bring to the table. And if you don't use us, that's okay. But if I brought value to your business, you might refer me to somebody else down the road. The one thing I will say is that if you find a great opportunity, just be careful not to exploit that opportunity. And we're seeing that now, especially with toilet paper and masks. There is that balance of, wanting to charge somebody $10 for a roll of toilet paper in a time of need. So that is something, just be careful as you see that opportunity. Don't overprice it at this point in time because that could have a negative effect on your reputation. So I'll open this one up for questions.
Remember, guys, go ahead and raise your digital hand if you want to ask it, and we will. I'm trying to make sure I can see everybody. Nobody's raising their actual hand, and nobody's got a digital hand up, so it looks like that one's pretty good.
Okay.
Before we go on to the next one, though, anybody whose name is not on their square, make sure you go ahead and click the upper right-hand box in your square and rename yourself. Looks like we only have a couple on there. A couple that are phone numbers. Who's 6300?
So, Ryan, I think what happened is actually some people are using like their phone as sounds, and then it shows their face, and it also shows their phone number. So they're showing as two squares. Got it. Because I found them on the list.
Okay, good. All right. So then everybody's pretty much got their name. So when I call on you, go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are. So actually, it looks like Teresa's got her hand up. Go ahead, Teresa. Unmute yourself.
Go ahead, Teresa. Sure.
She might be one of the ones on the phone, and she's not unmuted.
So I don't know which one she is. I'm gonna just unmute all of them. Hold on a second. I'm gonna mute both. Teresa.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
There she is.
There I am. I know my audio has never worked for these things, and today my video isn't working, but it worked the other day.
It's okay. We're happy to have you.
Happy to be here. And that's why I had my hand raised, because you asked who was that phone number. That's my office
So you
number.
don't have a question. It's your phone number.
Sorry.
No problem. All right. So Ryan, you okay with me moving forward?
Yep. Oh, actually, Ashish has his hand up. Oh, you got to unmute yourself, buddy.
Hold on.
There he
All
is.
right, perfect. Hey guys, quick question for you. So Debra, you were saying just about the value proposition, right? But when something that you offer is, potentially a commodity, and let's say your value proposition is the service that you bring to the table, in a climate like this though, when people are trying to save money, it's really hard to differentiate yourself because not everyone is willing to pay for the service when it really can be a commodity in some sense. So how would you address that?
Can you give me a little bit more? What is the commodity that you are engaged with or selling?
It's actually related to the next topic, which is technology services.
Okay.
So that's why I thought I would, set you up before you go to the next topic. So, that's the reality, right? Because technology services is needed. However, people can easily just go and, take care of that problem themselves or perhaps, learn through the process, etc. So that is one of the challenges that we're facing right now.
So in that case, and, this might be another separate topic that we can dig into, personally. Yes, there are things that people can do on their own, but what are the things that they can't do on their own? And this is where that that verbalization of, can you imagine? If you make this investment now, can you imagine where your business will be, or how it will improve, or how it will make you stronger? From a technology standpoint, cybersecurity is going to be a much bigger topic. We're all working at home, and now we're doing transactions at home on home computers. And, that alone is a topic in itself, but it's finding what could happen, or what will this investment do for you to make you stronger or protect you in the future. So yes, I'm up against the same thing. People can go online and get a logo for $50, but what is the difference between working with a professional? And that's where you get to come up with, these are the things that make us different. This is what we do really well. And this is how your business will prosper by making this investment now. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you.
No
Yes.
problem. Okay, so moving on to, we're good, Ryan? Or do you have another?
I don't see anybody else with a hand up, so you're good.
Okay. So technology, this could be a session in its own, and I'm going to top line a few things here and some things we touched on already. But the first thing is, if you have any product that can be digitized to purchase online, get it going now. And you're seeing, just even with Amazon, there are portions of our businesses that you could provide, or you've held back from making it available online. And now is the time even more so that you have 700,000 people who are unemployed in New Jersey. What are they doing? What are they doing in their free time? They're learning, they're searching, they're shopping. They are using technology to its fullest. And that is where, I'm going to even build upon what Ryan's company is doing. JGS has a whole section on COVID education. And, that is where, using technology, leveraging technology and building upon that educational model that we talked about earlier, it's really important. So some of those best practices are feeding your blog. As I just mentioned, setting up a COVID-19 section on your website. So, shifting a little bit to safety. Safety and security are going to be two major topics moving forward, and looking at how you're doing business now and how you might be doing it in the future once our restrictions get lifted. Expressing that and educating and sharing that information to your customer base is going to be important. It's going to make them feel more comfortable and confident to come back to you or to invest with you. Feed off of your competitors again, see what they're posting, get inspiration, and develop your own content. As far as biz dev is concerned, it's interesting. I had a call with a business coach yesterday, and his philosophy that marketing is still living, but biz dev is completely dead. And I'm sorry, I just can't agree with that. I just feel that I'm seeing the opportunities here. Just virtual meetings are providing a different type of cross-pollination. And 2 weeks ago, I didn't know Ryan, and I wound up being on this session, and we wound up having a conversation. The type of communication and being able to take advantage of these video conference calls where people are collaborating, where you're seeing their names, where you're seeing what companies that they're coming from. It's important to be strategic on where you're spending your time. But if you see that a competitor is having one of these sessions, most likely their clients are going to be within that. So most of the, from a biz dev perspective, it's always hard to figure out who the decision maker is within a lot of these companies. And now with the online learning and collaboration that's occurring, a lot of those thought leaders are in those sessions, and you're able to see different companies that you might not have approached, to collaborate with them, but also have the faces and names of those individuals that you were targeting, from the beginning. And the last thing, and I touched on this 2 weeks ago, but it was a smaller group, is the use of self-videos. If you need to introduce yourself to somebody, or you are in a profession where you're still going into or onto properties. We had the experience where we had somebody coming in to give us a quote on our personal property, and that individual quickly shot a self video and texted it to my husband to say, hey, I'm John and I'm from XYZ company and I'm going to be on your property today. Just know that, I'm going to be taking all these precautions. I'm going to have PPE on and da-da-da-da-da. It put a face, a name, a personality, a value proposition, and a safety clause all together in one. And that was that was a very smart usage of using your mobile phone to personalize your service that you're bringing to the table. So I'll open it up for questions.
Okay, it looks like everybody's pretty good on that one. And we have a hand up. Oh, there's Jess. Go ahead, Jess.
Good morning. Good morning, Deb.
Introduce who you are.
I'm Jessica Evans. I'm Director of Marketing and Communications for Davis and East Nunez Payon. We're a mid-sized law firm. We have several attorneys that are members of your group. And so I'll just echo what Deb said. Thanks to digital, I'm able to attend a meeting that I otherwise probably would not have had on my calendar. I see a lot of new faces. But just more a comment on what you were saying, Deb. One of the things that we've been spending a lot of time at the law firm really thinking about carefully is how to redefine our messaging while still being careful not to play on people's fears. It's a very tempting time if you're in any sort of service industry that caters to people in, I hate to say it, but end of life times or crisis times. Very tempting now to really try to make that message. But is that how our brand wants to react? And are we more of a steady rock, or are we trying to be more reactionary? So I think you made a really nice point there about, we do want to retool, but do we want to be the people that play on people's fears? And how do you bring up the topic of safety without maybe introducing more fears into people's minds? And we do still have offices that are open. People need to be able to sign their documents. The lawyers are very busy right now. Fortunately, we have glass conference areas, so we have the ability, even before they put some of the remote witness document rules into place, we did have the ability to safely witness behind glass. And we have people coming in for appointments every day to take care of these important things. But at the same time, we don't want to be making people afraid and making people feel like they should be doing something if right now they feel like they have everything under control. So it's definitely a shifting landscape when it comes to fear-based messaging, I would say.
100%. You know, and building upon that, and this is where the unknown is of when regulations wind up getting lightened. What other mechanisms are we going to have to put into place? And for example, we were speaking to a dentistry practice yesterday, and, you know, the way that they've changed their structure is, okay, when you come into the building, you now have to, instead of just checking in, you have to wash your hands first. Then you have to stand on an X that is 6 feet away behind glass. And also when you're signing your documents, that pen that you typically just get and put back in, you now own that. That is your pen. That is our gift to you. So it's not necessarily, hey, let's try to infuse, you know, more fear into them, but it's like, do you know what? These are the extra touches that we are taking right now to ensure your safety while you're collaborating with our people. So it's a safety message with a little bit of a softer touch, so that it's not, you know, it's not scary. But just that example alone, those are 4 extra processes that have been put into place that are not the norm in our day-to-day. So, you know, being able to re-trigger and allow our customers to know that the experience is still going to be great. You're still strong. You're providing expert, you know, guidance for them, but also too, just be prepared that these are the extra things that are going to change when you engage with us.
That sounds a lot like education again, doesn't it, Deb?
There you go.
I think we got that running theme going on. Anybody else have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next one. We got a couple more to do, and we'll try to squeeze them in there. Nope, looks like, oh.
No, Lauren had a question.
Oh, Lauren has one.
Hold on, let me get her, hold on.
She can unmute herself too.
Unmute yourself.
There she is. No, she's good.
I'm good. Yeah, just a comment on that. We've been kind of, I guess, 50-50 in terms of our messaging and things that are going out in general from us. We've tried, you know, what Deb's saying about being conscious and aware of what's going on and not ignoring that, and what steps are you taking, but also keeping the normal fun, you know, post. We always do birthday posts for all of our team every year, and if someone has an anniversary, or, you know, so we're not eliminating them, because I think everyone is just tired of every email you're getting is regarding something with COVID-19, and it weighs on you a lot. So I think it's important to keep that balance, to say, hey, we're taking this seriously. But like I sent an e-blast to our clientele yesterday with, you know, here's the things we're doing to keep you safe and our team safe. However, let's think about spring. And so we're talking about spring projects, and, you know, so people need like to know that there's an end in sight. And I think that's important in your messaging overall.
Yeah, to build upon that, and thanks for bringing that up, is especially with the communities themselves, and you see this a lot of times with the property management companies are infusing some fun where they're sending out ideas to their communities. It's like, okay, at 5 o'clock, everybody take a step outside of your door with your drink and scream hooray. And they're you know, they're trying to bring a little bit more of the community and the fun, and they're the ones who are infusing that. It's like, is that really going to bring them more business? Maybe not, but it's lifting people's spirits. It's keeping them excited of, okay, what's the next crazy thing that they're going to make us do today? So to that point of, yes, keeping the human side of it as well. And you shouldn't give up your corporate culture and the human side, and the happiness of your company. That will actually lift people up through this process as well.
All right, I think that we're good. I don't see any other hands up, although Teresa's still got her hand up for the entire meeting. So I'm assuming that she's not asking questions.
She is in.
Yeah. So I think we're in good shape. You can move on to the
All right, so we're moving to digital marketing, and this is a big one. It's another one that could be a session in itself. But I touched on this earlier as far as marketing models are concerned. Your website is always at the center of any marketing campaign, and it's your core. And if you think about when you work out, when your core strength is there, everything else in your body works pretty seamlessly when you hit that point. Same thing with marketing. You want to make sure that your website is solid. And then from there, you have your tactics. And based upon what your goals are and who you're trying to target, you make decisions of what you're investing in based on, is it public relations, events, your social media, your digital advertising, your print advertising, etc. But, getting back to that is whatever you're doing, make sure that you are driving the traffic to your website. And so that's where I'm going to start with web. Is if you do not have a responsive website right now, which means that it is mobile friendly, tablet friendly, now is the time to make that investment, because you're honestly obsolete. People are searching online, they're searching via voice, and Google is not going to support that site. So in this downtime, we are experiencing that clients that we have been talking to for months and years are finally pulling trigger. They're like, I know I need to do this. I know everybody's online. We've been dragging our feet, and we know that we're going to come out stronger in the long run. So with that, your site should be responsive. It should have some kind of call to action. Is it a special offer? Is it a sign up for an email or a text or a banner that drives you to the educational section of your website that we've been talking about? And then, also too, the affordability aspect of this is, if you can't do it on your own, then find a design team and have that discussion with them. Say, can you set up an extended payment plan for me? Is there a way to make this more affordable? There is always a way to get you to the next level and actually get you to be seen, at least, and give you the infrastructure at an affordable rate. Second is, it's time for texting. With so many emails, individuals are responding to text. These are key stats. 91% would rather get a text update than a phone call. 89% of people want to text a business for sales and service, and 99% of texts are read. It's cost effective and it connects people. So, the platform that we are using and that we do recommend is simple texting. I'm just throwing that out there, not as a hard sell, but we've found it to be effective. And we've made that shift with one of our clients, and we were able to get 250 customers to sign up within a week. So we have another way of communicating, giving them updates, and also, building out special offers for that particular group if you want to make them feel special. The other thing is email. It's time to do housekeeping. Clean up your lists and add to them. Why should you be paying for people that you shouldn't even have on your list? People move, and your pricing is based upon how many emails you have. But when was the last time that we went in and actually scrubbed? And I know Jill is on this call, and she heads up our sales. She did that yesterday. She's like, give me the list. I'm going to go through. And you realize, like, you have clients that moved 3 or 4 times, and you still have those old emails in there. So, number one, it's take the time to clean so that you're saving money and you're more effective, but then make sure you're adding to them. You can't just add somebody if they haven't opted in. So that's where you have that nice little touch point of either on LinkedIn or through email saying, hey, I haven't been in touch, but we're sending out some really great educational information. I'd love to add you to the list and get them in there. It's time to do that. Invest in an HTML email system if you don't have one. We prefer to use MailChimp. It's free up to 2,500 end users, and we like the design features, and we find that it's cleaner. And have the goal of sending out 1 corporate email a month so that you have that touch point with your customer base. The other thing is, don't be afraid to target your current customer base through your emails or personally. Ask for a referral or a review. Your Google reviews and your Facebook reviews help with your SEO. It's MailChimp CHIMP. So I saw that question just come up. So I'm glad I can clarify that. It's time to ask, for those referrals and those reviews. So it's, that is something that have on the back of your mind. The other thing is your social media. Post regularly with your updates and showcase the personality of your company. And our content mix is usually in thirds. And 1/3 of it's promotional, 1/3 of it's educational, and then 1/3 of it is community. How are you giving back to the community? Or in the future, once we get back to our new norm, how are you going to help rebuild your community? It might not be your immediate, it might be your professional, it might be statewide. What kind of impact are you having and how are you contributing to it? Choose your imagery wisely. Stock images. It's interesting, there's a landscape architecture company that we just built out an ad campaign for, and of course you're doing multiple different options, and the design team sent them through, and there were individual photos of people working, and then there was this group shot of 3 men with the truck, and I was like, no, they're not complying with social distancing, and they don't have any PPE on. Well, we don't have stock photography with people with PPE in our normal settings, but even just that photo triggered I was so distracted from what the offer was. I was like, oh, this isn't safe. So that's something to think about, is that our mind shift has been, we react to photos in a different way, and sometimes the messaging gets lost in that. And once again, stress your safety measures in your messaging. That's going to be important moving forward. The next thing is your pay-per-click. So those are Google ads and then social media advertising. Currently, investing in your localized social media advertising is the best bang for your buck. And we saw this within the first week that we were all working from home, is that our digital ad campaigns that we were running, the Google advertising was dropping, but our Facebook advertising was going through the roof. And the New York Times then supported that and said that the traffic from Facebook to other websites had increased over 50% from week 1 to week 2 within the home confinement period. So especially if people aren't able to travel, and for example, if you are a law firm that really is focused on one county, now's the time to think about doing a localized ad campaign. We are your local expert for XYZ. There's a much greater rate of return, and we're finding that the landing pages and the curation of new business has been very positive in that realm. Also, Facebook's cost per impression has dropped because there isn't as much competition, especially with consumer goods being down, restaurants being closed, and the travel industry being pretty much non-existent. It is your most affordable investment at this point in time. And the last thing to keep in mind as you're developing your ads is COVID ads will get rejected. There's so much spam right now that anything that relates to COVID, it will get rejected through the system. So work your way around it on that one. So I'm gonna open it up for questions.
So Jessica Ville, I think she had a question in the chat. I don't know if you want to circle back to that, but.
Which one was it? Sorry.
Jessica Ville asked, I don't know, Jess, do you want to turn your sound on and ask your question?
Can you send mass email blast to your client list? That would be in a situation, so you can do it 2 ways, and one takes a lot more time than another. If somebody hasn't opted in, you cannot put them into an HTML system and do mass blast emails. That's a curation process of having that conversation, can I add you? Or adding it to your website and saying, please sign up here, or creating some kind of call to action. So if you sign up for, if you sign up for our email blast today, you get blah, blah, blah. The other thing is, if you have a ton of contacts and you want to curate that process, you do need to email them as an individual versus from a corporate standpoint. And you can't send hundreds and thousands in one. So you usually chunk it based upon 100. And you would put it in a BCC mode. So you would blind copy those individuals and say, hey, I would like you to join my email list, or if there's, pertinent information that you have. Ideally, you want, if you're dealing with hundreds and thousands of people, you want to systematize yourself to get them into an HTML email platform, such as Constant Contact or MailChimp. So you do not want to get blacklisted by putting together a list and just sending an email, and then all of a sudden you're shut down.
Deb, I have a question.
Sure.
2 questions, actually, unrelated. And I see that we're about 5 after 11, so I know you have to zip through. So answer quick. No.
Go.
We're considering buying, well, I found a list of associations in New Jersey that I believe is a clean, good list. We'll see. Everyone's saying, don't get your hopes up. But so I guess my first question is just in buying lists in general, I've heard so many bad things about, oh, don't bother buying lists. Like all the numbers are going to be outdated and the emails are going to be, so just what is your feeling in general about purchasing lists? And I do realize it comes probably down to the quality of who you buy it from, but still. And then my second, well, maybe you can answer that question first.
So to that point, yes, there's always some risk. And over the course of, I can say that most of our clients have lists that they're curating already, or what they're doing is certain associations are providing that as a value add, where it is, if you become a part of this association, that you are able to ask for an email list and you are able to solicit them, and that is part of the value add of being a part of this membership. A lot don't, but I have found that that's a better way to curate, is to work within your own association groups and build those lists. But to your point, June and I were collaborating. There's a new company that we both have been introduced to, and it's called Focus USA. And they are a research-based organization here in New Jersey. And you are able to go to them and say, okay, this is my target market. I want new residents that have come into Wall, New Jersey, and I have the service that I want to give them. How many records do you have of women or men within this age range that have entered into this community? And do you have, and then what is the split between email and then also regular addresses, so that you can make the decision if you're going to do direct mail, email, or combine the both.
So Deb, I can actually tell you what happened with that, in case anyone's interested, because I know, and Chelsea's on the call too, that everybody wants that list of associations, or 7,000 associations, but so I asked them basically for what we needed, and they came up with a couple thousand. I think it was somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000. And I was like, is the list good? So they went back and they scrubbed it, and my fingers are crossed. But just so everyone knows, so the cost for that is about $750, which to me is not, this is not $10,000, but it really comes back down to the quality, because if we try to contact and we get 50% of them that, or even more that come back just as invalid, then it's going to feel very frustrating. So I would share with the group. We'll see. Maybe at a future call, I can tell you guys whether or not buying that list worked.
I will love that.
And my other question was, I've always stood by like the email marketing, like no more than one a week. And that's only honestly based on if I get more than one email from an association or something, more than one a week, that's when I start to get irritated. Up to one, I'm good. I don't know if that's actually statistically right, but lately we've been sending out more, not because we want to, but because we feel forced, like, oh, we have to give them this piece of information and that piece of information. What would you say is the standard, like how often you can email, but has that shifted right now?
I would say that there is not a standard across the board. It really is based upon your customer base and what you're selling. Just as a regular rule of thumb, we do recommend that at least once every 2 years that you do some kind of survey to get a pulse on your customer base. You know, how are they communicating? How often do they want to receive emails from you? Do they want to get email or do they want text? And you find that a lot of companies and organizations, it's still heavy on the email, but all of a sudden you're starting to see the percentage start to go up of like, no, I want you to communicate with me via text because I'm out and I'm about. And so it really does depend upon the company. I mean, consumer brands, if any of you are, you shop with somebody, 9 West and Banana Republic, they're not slowing down. You're getting an email and a text every single day. That's a commodity. You're talking about product based. So the tolerance is, it comes down to really understanding who you are talking to. And to your point, right now, if you have valid information that is going to help people, you're not going to hold back on it and be like, whoop, okay, I've sent one email. No, this is important information. It's going to move your business forward. No, move that forward.
But if all the companies shift to text, let's just say that happens, isn't there going to be a point where the public doesn't want to tolerate all these text messages? I mean, I guess the market will again shift.
It'll shift again. Absolutely. Yeah. You know what? I didn't touch upon this. You know what? I'll touch upon it in the final section. Because I know we're tight on time too.
All right. So all in all, I think we have a lot of things to talk about in this section. Mm-hmm. So we've got our last one, CAI Community, maximizing your investment. We'll rip right through it and yeah, and get you guys off the line as quickly as we can.
Okay. So, the thing is that you've made this investment and you need to capitalize on it. And, what does that mean? And what are some of the best practices that we can all be doing? The first thing is to collaborate, ask corporate for more insight, collaborate with your other members, do what we're doing here. Develop your own CAI strategic alliance. So join forces with the like members that you already have a relationship with, that are not in your vertical per se, but they're in your surrounding verticals. Can you buy things in bulk? Can you do a group email with all of your brands on it versus you taking the hit all by yourself? Look at cross-selling. I have to say that in one of my other organizations, it was the smartest email that I had received, and I keep talking about it. A gentleman pulled together his top network. These are the top people. These are my go-tos. This is my banker. This is my lawyer who will help you renegotiate your lease. This is my insurance guy who will help you muddle through whether you are insured, you can make a claim, you can't make a claim. It was down to, this is my landscaper who will help you save money on your bills. And it was very localized. It was very heartfelt. And I acted upon that. I was like, oh yeah, I could do that, or I could do that. And so I think if, just mentioning and going back to how Ryan started off the conversation, we've developed really strong relationships and we're all here to help each other. How do you create that strategic alliance to be able to move your business forward faster, more economically, and with a stronger collective voice? The other thing is, webinars, pull together your own content, or co-sponsor, pull together 2 or 3 different members from CAI and work together to come up with content. Think about a member-specific incentive program, something that you can offer specifically for CAI members, and put those communications out there. Identify yourself as a CAI member. And think about including the CAI logo on your materials and support the organization. I'm currently on the membership committee, and we're having those discussions. It is a little bit uncomfortable to go to somebody new and say, hey, do you have money? Do you want to join? The more that we put out our brand as a whole in this community and the greatness of what we're doing will help to attract those members on the back end. So if you feel comfortable and you're doing a webinar, think about putting the CAI logo on it so that they understand the bigger community that you're part of. So I'm going to open it up from there.
All right. So I think that we've gotten quite a bit, and all of it goes back to, I'm getting two things out of this. One, of course, is education. And the more our companies focus on educating our clients and to tell you the truth, and our business partners as to what we do, how we can serve our communities, that's the best thing to do. The other thing is everything is social. You know, we started this by saying we're all having meetings much more socially and much more relaxed. And I think all of the correspondence is going to be a lot more social. So focus on the socials, focus on the education piece. And those are my two takeaways. I know we're a little bit over time. I hope that didn't jam too many people up. I know I have an 11:30, but if everybody's okay, any hands raised?
I just want to say one thing. Thank you, Deb. That was so much information. I have to digest it all. Thank you so much for doing that. And just to let everyone know, I will be sharing the contact list, so please network away.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
All right, everybody, we'll see you at the next Virtually Connected. Feel free to add some topic ideas in there. I think we got a couple already. How do we educate? What does education look like? And cover your ass. We already talked about that one.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Deb. Appreciate it.
Have a good weekend.
Everyone for joining.
You too, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Wait.